Welcome to your darkest fears, where nightmares begin. Story 1. The Last Stop. You always remember the sound of an ice cream truck, especially when it comes too late. In our neighborhood, summer always smelled like fresh-cut grass, sunscreen, and melted popsicles. Kids darted barefoot through sprinklers, parents grilled on the porch, and if you listened closely, you'd hear it. The distant jingle. That hypnotic melody winding down the street like a mechanical lullaby. But one year, it came after dark. That's when everything changed. It started with a hum, a soft tune, drifting through the twilight as the sky turned violet. The sun had dipped behind the trees, and the fireflies had just begun to blink awake. We were in the cul-de-sac playing tag when we heard it. The song was slow, warped like an old tape. Pop goes the weasel, but off. Notes stretched too long, chords that didn't belong. The truck turned the corner, lights flickering like dying stars. It didn't look new, not even vintage, just wrong. The paint was peeling. The pictures of cartoon characters on the side, Bugs Bunny, SpongeBob, Dora, were sun-bleached and distorted, their smiles warped into grimaces. The words, "Mr. Sweetie's ice cream," were scrawled in faded red letters that looked almost handwritten. The driver wore a paper hat and white gloves, but his face was shadowed, too far back in the cabin to see. No one saw him open the window. It was just open. And he waved. Not with his hand, but with a finger. A long, gloved finger that slowly beckoned. We should have run. But we didn't. Timmy was the first to go. He was the youngest in our group, barely 9. He stepped forward, clutched a crumpled dollar in his fist, and looked back at us with a grin. "I'll get the rocket pop." The rest of us just watched. Something about the truck. It was too quiet. No engine noise, no generator hum. Just the song. Looping, crackling, skipping. Timmy reached the window. We couldn't see what happened inside. Just that the gloved hand came down, slow and gentle, like it was helping him. Then Timmy climbed up. That was it. No scream, no bang, no blood. The truck rolled away, just as slow, disappearing around the bend like mist. And Timmy never came back. The police came. They said Timmy had probably wandered off. His parents were distraught. But the story became something you told in hushed tones. A warning. Stay close. Don't follow strangers. Not even ice cream men. But we knew. Because the next night, the truck came back. Different song this time. Slower. More broken. Do your ears hang low? Looped and stretched into a dirge. This time, it stopped in front of my house. I didn't move. I just stood at the window and watched. The glove waved again. I swear, I could see a shape in the back, a silhouette, small, pressed against the scratched-up glass, like a child, or what used to be one. My dad shouted at me to get away from the window. I obeyed, but the truck kept coming back. Every night, and every night, someone else followed it. Sarah, then Leo, Jason, then Priya. Each night, a different house, a different kid, always around the same time, 9:37 p.m. Always the same result. Gone. Parents insisted they were abducted. Others whispered darker things. Some families moved away. Others put up cameras, but none of it helped. The truck never showed on video, just static, as if it didn't exist in the normal world. That's when I started having the dreams. Dreams of a freezer. Cold. Endless. Shelves lined with glass jars. And in each jar, something floating. A piece of clothing. A pair of glasses. A tooth. And always, I heard the music. Always. I tried to warn people. Posted on forums. Talked to news outlets. No one believed me. Then, one night, I stayed outside, alone. Just before 9:37, I heard it. The truck rounded the bend, tires barely touching the pavement. It stopped in front of me. The song had decayed into a series of notes like a music box dropped underwater. The window opened, and I finally saw him. Not a man. Not exactly. The thing inside wore human skin like a uniform, stretched too tight. The eyes were too round, the teeth too clean, too many of them. He smiled and said, "One last stop." Then he held out something. Timmy's baseball cap. Still damp. Still red. I didn't take it. Instead, I pulled out my phone. Started recording. The screen turned black. The battery dropped from 87% to 0%. I blinked and the truck was gone. No tracks, no music, no proof. But I knew what I saw. I started researching, digging through archives. Found old stories, different towns, different decades. Always the same MO. An ice cream truck that appeared for a week in midsummer. Always around 9:30. Always after sunset. Children vanished. Case closed. Buried. Over and over. The earliest one I found was from 1956. A place called Marrow Creek. The name of the driver? Mr. Sweetie. I couldn't stop it, but I could follow it. The next time it came, I waited with a GoPro and a GPS tracker. I never told anyone. Just left a note for my mom. When the music came, I stepped outside. The door opened. This time, I climbed in. The inside was larger than it should have been. Rows of freezers, jars, pictures of kids stapled to the walls, some black and white, some still fresh. Mr. Sweetie was humming. "Special flavor tonight," he said. "Memory mint." He reached into a cooler and pulled out something wrapped in wax paper. My name was written on it. I didn't scream, didn't cry, just watched as he placed it in my hand. It pulsed. I realized it wasn't food. It was my fear. All of it, condensed. He told me the rules. Eat it and you'll forget. Walk away and they all stay trapped. I asked, "What happens if I take your place?" He tilted his head. "Then you drive." I don't remember how I got back. Maybe I never left. Maybe the real me is still in that truck. But I know this. Now, I hear the music even when it's not playing. I see kids staring out of windows, drawn like moths to the jingle. And I drive. Each night. To towns that have forgotten. To cul-de-sacs full of laughter, about to fade. One last stop. Always one last stop. So next time you hear that tune after dark, don't run toward it. Don't peek through the blinds. Because if the ice cream truck stops in front of your house, it's already too late. Story 2. Chimes at midnight. You always think the sound is sweet until you hear it at the wrong hour. It started the summer after my senior year, in a neighborhood so ordinary it could have been copy-pasted from a real estate ad. Rows of matching mailboxes, trimmed lawns, and porch lights that flicked on at exactly 8 p.m. Our little cul-de-sac had its own routines. Morning joggers, evening grill smoke, and every day around 4 p.m., the old ice cream truck would cruise by, playing its cheerful tune. Pop goes the weasel, mechanical and tinny through warped speakers. We called it Old Frosty, even though no one ever saw the driver. You'd just hear the chimes, grab a couple bucks, and by the time you were at the curb, the window was open, a cold treat was handed down, and the truck rolled off. No one questioned it. Why would you? But that summer, things started slipping. It began with time. One day the chimes came at 3:45, then 3:20, then 2:50. Nothing huge, but enough for the neighborhood moms to whisper about it at the block barbecue. The kind of thing you'd brush off if it didn't keep happening. And then it came. One night, at midnight, I was up late gaming. My window was open. Summer heat, fan on low. And then I heard it. Pop goes the weasel, slow and broken, drifting up the empty street like a lullaby hummed in a graveyard. At first, I thought I imagined it, but then I saw the light. That flickering bulb on top of the truck, red, then white, then red again. It crept past my house slower than usual, wheels crunching over gravel. I ducked under the window, heart pounding. It passed. No one else seemed to be awake. No porch lights turned on. Just me. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. The next morning, I asked my mom if she'd heard it. What? The ice cream truck? No, honey, it doesn't run that late. I asked a few neighbors. Same response. But that night, it came again. 12:04 a.m. Same song. Same slow crawl. Only this time, it stopped. Right outside my house. I didn't move. Just peeked through the blinds. The window of the truck slid open. No one was visible, but something was watching. I could feel it. Like the temperature had dropped to 20 degrees. And then it spoke. Not in words, but in memory. Images flashed in my mind. Me, 5 years old, crying on the curb because I dropped my rocket pop. The first time I scraped my knee. My dad's funeral. Things I hadn't thought about in years. It was feeding on them. I slammed the blinds shut, and the truck drove off. I didn't tell anyone. But that wasn't the end. Other kids started acting strange, quiet, pale, like something had taken the color out of them. Mira, who lived 2 houses down, stopped speaking entirely. Just stared out her window all night. Jason's dog went missing. He said he saw it follow the truck. Said the truck whistled at it. I told myself it was just a weird coincidence. Until the night I followed it. I couldn't sleep. The truck had come by again, stopping 2 blocks away. I threw on a hoodie, grabbed my bike, and followed at a distance. It didn't move normally. It glided. No engine noise. No exhaust. Just that cursed melody. It turned off the main road, down a trail I didn't know existed. Eventually, it stopped. I hid behind a tree and watched. One by one, kids emerged from the woods. Pajamas, barefoot, eyes closed. They moved like sleepwalkers. The truck's window opened, and from inside, arms. Not human. Long, blackened, jointed in the wrong places. They reached out and placed something into each child's hands. I couldn't see what it was. Then one turned toward me. It was Mira. She opened her eyes. They were hollow, glowing faintly blue. She smiled. "You're not supposed to be here." I ran. Didn't stop until I was home. I locked every door, boarded the windows, but the truck didn't need a door. At 12:07, it was in my driveway again. And this time, it spoke, out loud. Last call. I didn't answer. It honked once, long and low. And the walls of my room began to melt. Not physically, but in my mind. Memory scrambled, names twisted. My calendar bled into a storm of red marks. Then, just as suddenly, it stopped. I woke up on the floor. Morning light. Bird song. The truck was gone, but Mira was missing. Jason, too. The news called it a summer runaway spree. I knew better. I packed a bag. Bike, water, snacks, flashlight. And that night, when the truck came, I followed again. This time, deeper. It led me into the forest. There, in a clearing no one should have known existed, was a cul-de-sac. Just like ours. Perfect copy. And in the center, 12 ice cream trucks. Circling. Playing overlapping songs. A symphony of discord. Children stood in rows. Pale. Hollow-eyed. Each one licking a cone that never melted. A man emerged. If you could call it a man. Tall. Dressed like a soda jerk from the 1950s. Hat, bow tie, blood on his apron. His smile never moved. "You came," he said. "A late order, but we'll make room." I turned to run. The road behind, he was gone. And the chimes. Only midnight. I don't know how I escaped. Maybe it let me go. Maybe I dreamed it. But I woke up 3 days later, on the bench outside the corner store. Sunrise, cone in hand, melted. My phone was dead. And no one believed me. That was a year ago. The truck doesn't come to our street anymore. But I hear the chimes every night. And sometimes I see the others. Mira, Jason, kids from other towns, standing just beyond the trees, waiting. They say it only comes for those who taste its sweetness. So don't take the cone, no matter how hot the summer gets. Because when the chimes play at midnight, there's no going back. Story 3, Cold Treats. You ever notice how some things disappear from your childhood without explanation? The corner store that used to sell sour belts for a penny. The swing set that creaked in your neighborhood park. The ice cream truck that stopped coming one summer. And never came back. That's how it started in the town of Marrow Heights. The ice cream truck vanished. And for a while, nobody cared. People figured the driver retired or found a better route. But now, years later, I think we all just forgot. Because that's what it wanted. I was 13 when I saw the truck again. It was around 2 a.m. I couldn't sleep. Too much lightning. Too much noise. I looked out my window and saw something parked at the end of the cul-de-sac. White. Rusted. Pink stripes faded to near gray. It was the ice cream truck. Even in the dark, I recognized the mascot. A peeling decal of a smiling cone with too many teeth. And then, the music played. Not cheerful, not bouncy. This version was slower. Broken notes like warped lullabies. The sound scraped against the air like a dull blade through silk. I blinked, and the truck was gone. I told my parents the next morning. They laughed it off. Just a dream, Dad said. Ghosts of your childhood. But I kept seeing it. Every few nights. Parked in different places. By the playground, by the creek, outside my school. Always around 2 a.m. Always playing that off-key music. I made the mistake of mentioning it to some kids at school. One of them, Lena, froze mid-bite of her sandwich. "You've seen it too?" she whispered. I nodded. Lena pushed up her sleeve. On her arm were 4 small, circular bruises, like fingertip marks. "It comes closer each time," she said. "I think it wants us back." Back? I didn't understand. Not then. But Lena had seen it when she was younger too, right before her brother went missing. The police blamed the usual. Runaway. Poor supervision. But Lena never bought it. And neither did I. That night, I set an alarm. 1:55 a.m. I woke up, heart pounding. Outside, the storm had passed. Stillness clung to everything. And at the end of my street, it waited. The ice cream truck. Lights off. Music off. But there. Like it knew I was watching. I grabbed my phone. Snuck outside. My bare feet felt like they were stepping on something soft. I looked down. Pine needles. Even though there weren't any pine trees on our block. And then the chimes began. Faint at first. Then louder. The truck lit up in a sickly glow. The back door opened. Smoke poured out. And someone stepped down. Not the driver. Not human. It wore the uniform of an ice cream vendor. Striped apron. White cap. Bow tie. But its skin looked plastic. Melted. Its eyes were glass marbles. And its smile, too wide, too permanent, split its face in half. "Would you like a cold treat?" it asked. Its voice came in stereo, like multiple versions of itself speaking from inside a freezer. I ran, fell, scrambled back to my door, and the next morning, no tire tracks, no pine needles, no proof, except for one thing. A popsicle, melted onto my porch. its stick carved with my name. Lena didn't show up to school the next day, or the next. Her parents said she must have run away, just like her brother. But I knew. The truck had taken her. And now, it wanted me. I couldn't sleep. Not anymore. Because the song kept playing. Even when I wore headphones. Even when I left town for the weekend. I asked my grandma, who grew up here. She looked afraid. Said there was once a man who drove an ice cream truck through the poorer side of Merrow Heights. Back in the 60s, children went missing. Always at night. Always on warm evenings when the truck played its song. Eventually, they found him. His truck had crashed in the ravine. Inside were freezers full of more than just ice cream. Bodies. Children. Frozen stiff. But he hadn't aged a day. He smiled through the windshield, even after death. They buried the truck deep, sealed the ravine, and paved it over. Built a school on top of it. My school. That night, I didn't wait for the truck to find me. I went to it. I walked to the edge of town, to the old playground by the woods. There it was, idle, waiting. This time, the door opened for me. Inside, it wasn't a truck. It was a freezer. Endless. Walls made of flesh and frost. Children stood in rows, eyes closed, mouths open, popsicles in hand. And at the far end, Lena. She saw me, whispered, "Run." But the driver stood between us. His smile widened. His hands stretched toward me, cold fog trailing from his fingers. "Time to chill," he croaked. Laughed. I grabbed a cone from the nearest freezer, not ice cream, bone, and I stabbed it through his face. He didn't scream, just crumbled, like frost-bitten clay. The truck shook. Children gasped awake, and the walls began to thaw. We escaped. Lena and I ran into the woods as the truck collapsed behind us. By morning, the field was empty. No tracks, no music. But Lena never spoke again. And me? Sometimes I wake up with frost on my windows, on the inside. And I hear it. The chimes. The song. Calling to me. Would you like a cold treat? Thank you for watching this video to the end. Don't forget to like and subscribe.